Nightcall, we are going to be cracking on with some of our mysterious, wonderful, quirky, very, very strange, dark and deadly Parisian adventures. When you look at the first menu, it's giving us the option of choosing one particular investigation. So we have the Judge, the Angel of Death, the Sandman, Surprise Investigation. And I think we can probably go for random investigation, and that means all of them will be chosen accordingly, so we can, in addition to that, decide whether we want it to be part of the story mission. Money will be easier to get by, the investigation will be easier, every action will take less time for a chillier experience. Balanced is the way Nightcall was designed. Hard, money will be tighter, the investigation will be harder to solve, every action will cost more time for a more challenging experience. So we'll go for the balance because, as they said, this is the way Nightcall was designed. Nightcall it is. Doctor says, hear this? Sir, can you hear me? Or do I need to speak up? We'll say, yes, speak up. Is this okay with you? Is my voice loud enough? Say louder. And now, is this okay? Yes, thank you. She takes a deep breath. Sir, you spent just 2 weeks in coma. The word bounces around your head. You need a moment to understand its meaning. 2 weeks in coma. Coma? Word scratches along your throat. Yes, you were the victim of an assault. The word resonates in your head. Victim. You are aware a serial killer is currently on the loose in Paris. You feel the contents of your stomach crawling up your throat. The judge, as the police called the killer, assaulted you. The bullet touched your liver, and in my circumstances it would have been fatal. Which is to put you in an induced... Her voice becomes more distant and fades away. You taste bile at the back of your mouth, your head is burning, you hear a whistle in one ear. Your fingers move to your wound. Underneath the bandages, you can feel hard skin, which is incredibly painful. Do they... I'm sorry. Do they catch the judge? No. What about my passenger? He was dead before you even got out of your cab. The doctor is silent for a second, a very awkward second. She hesitates. The police would like to see you as soon as possible to ask you some questions. After all, you are the only one who survived the judge. Noise in the hallway attracts your attention. You try to turn your head to no avail. You need to rest. She leaves the room. Her voice resonates in the hallway. I don't care, she's the only witness. Another female voice joins in, a strong authoritarian voice. You can't really make up what she is saying. A strange feeling washes over you. It's not pain, not fatigue, some odd combination of the two. Before being in the hospital room, you'd never realized the anger was made up of a combination of pain and exhaustion. Anger. A feeling you know all too well. Days go by, and 1 month later. Well, look, I've got a bit of a problem. A real problem, that is. You have a pounding headache. It's your first night behind the wheel since the attack. Are you listening to me? You catch your boss's eye in the rear view mirror. Yeah. He stares at you for a second or two without speaking at all. Sometimes I wonder what goes on inside your head. You always seem so far away. I'm listening. Alright. He's watching you closely, trying to make out what's going on in your head. You know I'm worried about you, don't you? I know. You're like a son to me, you know? I know. You know he's about to tell you the story of his taxi fleet again. When my father died and left me the store, I could have sold it. I could have retired, gone back to the old country. But I decided to start a cab fleet with the money he left me to hire the guys from the neighborhood. That's why I've got 45 guys like you working for me. His hands flutter in the air. None of them are any match for you. He smiles, his voice suddenly takes on a serious note. Do you want me to go over everything yet again? Points to the equipment on the dashboard, the meter, the GPS. You haven't been in a taxi for weeks. Maybe you do need a little refresher. Yeah, that's a good idea. Right then. Well, first the map. You spot potential customers and try to guess where they'll be going. Then you decide. So you can see this is like an interesting tutorial. When a customer orders a taxi, if there is no one else around, you have to pick him up. He shrugs. That's the way it goes. It's the business. No problem. The other fare is you look at the map and decide whether or not you want to take them. And then you drive. He flashes a quick mechanical smile. Well, you know it well. When he talks about work, he talks about work, and that is all. When your shift is over, we do the numbers, and his voice trails off as if searching for the right words. And that is all. It's pretty simple. There's no reason why you can't do it. Alright, not overtime. You're in France here, and there are rules, regulations. You might not see it that way, but no one likes having a driver who hasn't slept for 24 hours. He looks away. Something's been bothering him since he got into the cab. Anyhow, you know the ropes, you get it. I know you're going to do a good job. So we'll ask, what is the matter? The boss keeps quiet for a while if he is hesitant to speak, and then it's a good idea. You shouldn't be driving. The murderer is still out there, and we think he's going to come back for you. We, your colleagues, I do too. Anyway, I'll let you get back to work. Every minute spent in your taxi is a minute lost. He gives you a smile, half ironic, half serious. Have a good evening. The sarcasm in his voice is palpable. Alright, you have a good evening too. He'll spend the rest of the night dealing with problems and drivers. You wonder how and when the guy ever gets any sleep. Your boss opens the door and exits the cab. You watch him cross the street and enter the fleet garage. A couple of colleagues are milling about. Taxis are coming and going. They all ignore you, consciously or unconsciously. You are branded. You sit there a moment, then turn the key in the ignition. The hum of the engine sends a tingle down your spine. It's impossible to describe how you missed that feeling. It's back to the night shift, back to life. Despite the attack, despite it all. As you could see here, it's a wonderfully designed map. If he were in Paris, he would be very familiar with the River Seine, which is down here, and then North Bank of South Bank River. Familiar with some other spots like Champs-Élysées, like Eiffel Tower. So you'd be able to get to know all of this along, and see that generally the best idea is for him to be catching some of those who are quite close to him, and then talking to them. We'll find out a lot more about the stop this seems Paris off today. It's got 3 rows, so as you could see, some petrol and everything else. Just want to make my hot drink. We'll carry on with Nightcall very, very shortly. So we'll be looking at the first customer. Appears to be very nice. Patricia Hossein. Going to turns. This is 421 kilometers. Fare is 1432. We'll accept. A beautiful woman climbs into your cab. There is something sensual and comforting about her. No, I just missed it, but don't worry, I'm taking a cab. Anyhow, I just wanted you to know. For a minute you think she's talking to herself, but she leans over and whispers her address to you. I think he really enjoyed it today. As you start the cab, you notice a hands-free headset practically hidden by her thick head of hair. I'll massage his feet tomorrow and I'll let you do the rest. A small laugh escapes her. Or the other way around, for sure. And cruise? It's normal to feel a bit awkward at first, or uncomfortable. I mean, not knowing what to do. But you'll see, a couple more days and you'll get the hang of it. Anyhow, you should get to bed now. You need to keep up your strength. She stopped talking. Her phone call is well over. She catches your eye in the rearview mirror and bursts out laughing. You look shocked. A little, say. Your passenger crosses her legs and gives you a playful pout. You're just like any other guy. Imagining all kinds of dirty things, of course, like I'm on my way home from a threesome. Something really hot. A mischievous gleam lights up her eyes, then suddenly vanishes. Sorry to disappoint you, but the truth is a bit more depressing. Actually, I was at my son's house. Oh, excuse me? Your passenger roars with laughter. It seems to be doing her a world of good. No, sorry, you do not understand. I've been taking care of him since his accident. I'm a nurse. Oh, his accident? Yes, that's correct. He was supposed to meet his father for a rugby match. He was in a hurry. He tried to pass a truck on the right as he was leaving the highway. The driver did not see him. Her voice trails off. I do not know how he managed it not to die on the spot. That is really tough. And all that just to see a rugby match. Her smile's playful, full of life. I mean, ever since he was little, I tried to get him interested in soccer and see what happened. A smile of dry amusement flickers across your passenger's face. Anyway, he's been in a coma for weeks now. Grade 2, not a total vegetable, but not all that hearty either. So I had them move him to his place. Cruz and I are taking care of him now. Cruz? His fiancée. A lovely girl. Your passenger puts her hand to her mother, a giggle. Totally inhibited but sweet, very religious, she prays in Spanish at his bedside every single night. They've been going out for 2 years now and I still do not think they are. She blushes. Well, you know. A brief silence. You find yourself trying to think of something to say. How are you holding up? Your passenger doesn't really answer right away. You're afraid you've embarrassed her, but her face looks relaxed. I work in palliative care, you know. I spent the last 8 years of my life taking care of people who are going to die. The only question worth asking is how long before they die. It helps keep things in perspective. son's case, there is still hope, and at least I can help. I mean, I know how to do it anyhow. For one thing, there is the day-to-day stuff, nails, hair, beards, it all grows like crazy. There is a lot of maintenance, like a gardener. Same for the teeth, we have to brush them every now and then. Because believe me, if Tituan wakes up looking and smelling like a werewolf, we'll never hear the end of it. A smile escapes you, your passenger sees it in the rearview mirror and is clearly pleased. But the biggest risk is not being able to move. Our bodies are meant to move. I know it's hard to believe when our alarm clocks go off, but it's true. Our blood circulation stops working correctly, our skin gets cold and loses all of its elasticity. So we have to massage him as often as we can. And there are the bed sores. Do you know what bed sores are? It is what happens to your skin when the weight of your body is too much for it. It splits open in two, like the Dead Sea. Or the Red Sea, I should say. In the hospital, there are a lot of patients who are still conscious and who have bed sores. Their bodies are racked with pain. It's like being skinned alive. The worst part is we have to change the bandages twice a day. Talk about brave. Working in the hospital is hard. The work is pretty depressing, but in Tituan's case it's different. I don't have a choice. It's got to be done. Actually, I am happy. We can't talk to each other anymore. He doesn't even react when I touch him. So taking care of him is just my way of showing him I love him. That's a good thing, isn't it? Yes, it is. Pretty odd, huh? But that is the way it goes. Your passenger shudders briefly. Okay, Patricia, enough of that depressing stuff. Let me tell you something funny. Earlier tonight when Cruz and I were washing Tituan, not exactly a pleasure cruise. My son is well over 6 feet tall and Cruz is a cross between a matchstick and Q-tip. So I was managing as best as I could, rolling him onto one side and then the other. She was trying to help, though the truth, it is pretty hard for her to take. I mean, it's all new to her. It can't be all that much fun. So she was muttering religious mumbo-jumbo to herself in Spanish, Dios mío and whatnot. Just as I was rolling Tituan back onto his back, guess what? He got an enormous erection. Sorry? That's right. How did Cruz react? Well, first she turned bright red, and then she pulled the sheet up over him as fast as she could. Your passenger marks a short pause to emphasize what's coming. But it looked even worse. Just like Casper the Ghost at the back. Look at that. Peals of warm laughter fill the air. For a moment you are happy as if a weight had been lifted. You pull up to the address she had given you, you stop the cab and she hands you the fare. Thank you for the conversation. The ride went by really fast. She reaches for the door, then stops. You can sense she's really on edge. It's good to be able to talk. It's pretty unusual in Paris to meet someone so warm. Good luck. She shrugs automatically as if she didn't understand what you meant. Same to you. She shuts the door carefully, then walks away. Your eye follows her as she climbs the steps to the door of her building. A moment later, she is gone. As you start the cab, you catch sight of something on the back seat, a Kleenex. You wriggle around to pick it up, but there's something on it. Read it. You unfold the handkerchief. You see the word Patricia and the phone number written inside. You look up at the building and smile. You notice a newspaper on the back seat. Your last passenger must have left it behind, or the one before. You grab it and put it away. Could come in handy. You turn the key in the ignition and drive away. So we've got the money in here, as you can see, 1432, profits 1575, tip 143. Take that. Okay. So who will the other passenger be? Let's see, we have 2 people in there, 3 in fact. Just want to have a sip of hot drink. We'll have a look at our second passenger of the night. Let's have a look. As you can see, Paris is very, and we have plenty of passengers. We'll just go to the nearest one in order to save on. Lucy Bataz and Emmy Prince, Mayor, in the 7th. Thanks. 30.79 fare. The 2 women getting the cab give you their address. They say nothing as you start the car. A faint scent of alcohol hangs in the air. They've been drinking. After a moment of silence, the younger of the 2 breaks the silence. So what do you think? About him? Or who else? Of course, him, not the bar. Well, I'm not sure. A strange sound escapes her. She sighs. He seems pretty dumb. Dumb? How so? You know, dumb as a doornail, all but staring at himself in the mirror of the bar when he went to get drinks. But does that matter? No, not really. He's got a good body, he's good looking, he has lots of energy. He's got a sort of animal vibe, a little like a panther. I really like that style. You really like that style? The passengers exchange a look. The older of the 2 gives her friend a smile. You know exactly what I mean. They reach for each other's hand in the back seat of the car. The gesture is full of tenderness. A moment's silence. clears her throat. What about you? What did you think of him? The young woman gives herself a minute to think. I don't really know. He was heavy, too sure of himself. He spends too much time at the gym. Did you get that bit about... Yeah, please. That innuendo about his performance. A short, mocking laugh escapes her. He was pretty heavy-handed with all his expertise on yoga and everything else. True though, some of his strong muscles cannot hurt. Well, anyhow, he was all preachy. He should write a book, The Perfect Gift for Your Ex-Husband. They burst out laughing together. When the laughter dies down, the younger of the two resumes talking in a more serious tone. Anyhow, like I was saying, she looks at her friend intently. Is it really that important? I mean, we're looking for a donor. Not a father, not a lover, not a guardian or a godfather. Nothing but a donor. Yeah, just a donor. She casts a glance in your direction, conscious all of a sudden that they aren't alone in the cab. She goes on, lowering her voice. Yes, but still. If he had been a date, I think I would have been out of there in 5 minutes flat. I do yoga, I meditate 6 hours a day. I went to Tibet to learn the ancient art of, and Sebdom did exist in Tibet before the 1950s, and I found it on Wikipedia. I thought Buddhists were supposed to be curious and open-minded. Well, he was like some old conservative dude in the body of a young Bernadette. Pause again. But like you were saying, does all that really matter? Her friend nods. The two young women are lost in their respective thoughts. You know, I'm not against that kind of stuff or anything. It's up to him if he wants to be a drag with all that yoga and meditation. I don't have a problem with that. She gives her girlfriend a reassuring look. Anyhow, there is no way of that. There's no way any of that is going to be passed on to our daughter. Or our son, I suppose. Her friend flashes a big smile. It's going to be a girl. I can feel it in yoga. It is not genetic. Well, we'll have to ask Dr. Vidal. Yes, I bet he'd really love that. He'll think we are messing with him. He said we could ask him anything. He's going to take us for a couple of idiots. Besides, it's impossible. Pompousness cannot be passed on to children. The younger woman doesn't seem convinced and makes an exaggerated pout. So you're saying an ear for music, yes, that's passed on, but pretentiousness isn't it? Exactly. Okay, so if you do not want to believe me, she leans towards you all of a sudden. Sorry to bother you, but did you hear what we were just talking about? So yes, I did. No need to feel embarrassed or anything. We were talking out loud after all. Friend lets out a sigh. Come on, leave him alone. I was just asking. Well, right, so... My wife and I are meeting potential donors in order to conceive a baby. Her partner rolls her eyes. We were wondering if you thought pretentiousness could be passed on to children. Genetically. You give a look in the rearview mirror and take a moment to answer. The question is so utterly absurd. Leave him alone, me. He's a taxi driver, not a geneticist. Don't get all that worked up about it. I'm just asking his opinion. So what do we do? Say no, it's impossible. Passenger flops back onto the car seat. So the answer is no, right? You are just no fun. Seriously, we should have taken another cab driven by a genetics expert. She bursts out laughing. The younger passenger leans forward towards you. Sorry, it's just a joke. My partner doesn't mean anything by all of that. We had a bit to drink. And it's the first time for us tonight. We are meeting various donors. You pull up to the client's address and cut the engine. Be understanding. No problem at all. The passengers seem relieved. I'm a cab driver. I'm used to all kinds of funny stuff. I can imagine. Have you been driving a cab for long? You avoid her eye. Yeah, you could say that. The passenger pays for the ride. She lets out a sudden guffaw and can't help adding. Anyhow, thanks for answering. Come on, E, that is enough. As the friend tugs at her arm, Emi starts to mumble to himself. I definitely think we should ask the doctor, just in case. We need a second opinion. You wait until the two women have entered the building, then start the car. Money received 30.79, tip 14.78. It's 45.50, so that's really quite good. Earn quite a bit in there. The door suddenly opens and a woman gets into the back seat. Busset, having a good night. For a second you freeze. It's one of the cops working on the judge's case. She grins at you, her voice creaks. You remember seeing her at the hospital. Something already bothered you about her there. You know, it's actually pretty crazy. For weeks I've been saying to myself, there's something off about you, something not so nice. I dug around, mulled it over, bugged all of my fellow cops about it because I was sure you lied to us. Because I didn't lie. She whistles to cut you off. Hey, I'm talking. She has a cold sneer on her face. I'm going to be frank with you. She leans over to you. I don't think you are the judge. Nah, just a picture. She squints like she's trying to make you out from far, far away. Like you'd have gone to the extent of hurting yourself. Yeah, between us, it's a bit of a stretch. She stares at you. But not enough of a stretch for my chief to stop going on and on about you. Seriously, he talks about you all the time. If I didn't know better, I'd think he had a crush on you. She smirks. No. I think he's more interested in your profile in prison at 17. A nice chill fills your gut. And for murder, too. You open your mouth, but nothing comes out. Since you got out, you've kept a low profile, but you've been lying about your name and your address, I checked. It's normal, you'd say, if they get word of your time served, no loan for your permit, no lease for your car. Meaning, no second chance at life. Her voice becomes softer and almost warm. I personally like guys who want a second chance. No, I like guys who fight for a second chance. Basically, I like guys who are willing to work for me. She leans forward, her shining cat-like eyes narrowing. My chief wants to go to the prosecutors with a first and last name and evidence. Actually, knowing him, he's not so hot on evidence. So give you information, victims, suspects, medical reports, some photos that are a bit... She makes a gagging noise. You have to be discreet, keep it between you and me. Interrogate, ask questions, dig around. Say I've never done this. She shrugs. Don't worry, you're already keener than half the squad. don't forget, I'm not asking you to make an arrest and deliver the killer wrapped up with a bow in front of the station. You're not Batman, you're just here to get me more information. She rummages around in her pockets for what seems like forever. Here, take my card. I'll call you in 3-4 days just to check in. We'll chat. I'll let you know if I have any information. She takes on a didactic, paternalistic tone, like she was giving you a list of recommendations for the 100th time. Don't get caught, don't get arrested. Also, I wouldn't recommend trying to leave Paris. I know what you look like and I know who your friends are. You can either be the solution or the problem, my friend. Either. She takes a minute to scan your face and your emotions. I'll have to. I'll go check in on you-know-who. Her smile is biting. That reminds me... Does she know you've done time? You shake your head and she snickers. Oh my little, you cover your tracks well. Say I did what I could, now say nothing. She acknowledges your silence with a nod. Alright, I think you've got a handle on our little deal. Any problems? And I'll turn you in. I'll send you a picture to all my friends in the media and every person in Paris. Your picture with your name on it, your real name. Anyone close to you will have their places searched. They'll be put under house arrest, spend nights in jail. You have any idea how tense things are with that trial underway? You sigh. You know just what she's trying to get at. Come to think of it, your last names are almost the same. You could be brothers, actually. I'll say I'm nothing like that terrorist. She smiles. Let me tell you, that face of yours and your handle will welcome you with open arms. I say nothing. She takes on a serious tone, businesslike. I want to catch this killer personally. I want to drag him to court, ruin his life with a bang. I can't botch this case, you got me, and neither can you, right? Well, great then. We'll see then eye to eye. So you can just say you are my informant, my CI. He ripped open your gut, you saw your own insides, you were in a coma, so you have plenty of reasons to want to get back at him. She fires a brow. Yeah, I think you actually going to do what I tell you to do. You investigate, ask questions, listen to all the rumors, and you come up with a list of suspects. She lays a hand on the door handle and freezes. Alright, and don't get fired. Without a scab, you're worth nothing to me. You glare at her. Say nothing. She puts her hand up and you can hear the words behind it. This conversation never happened. I'll make sure you get more into it tomorrow. I'll find a way until then. Not a word to anyone. Not a word. The door opens, squeaks and slams shut. So, our friend is not pleased, as you can see. You sit alone for a while, teeth clenched, dry-eyed, ears buzzing. On the back seat, the cop left a pile of papers. Well, that's no fun. Key in the ignition, motor running, radio on crackles, you turn it off and start driving. Talking to passengers might unlock new documents and clues for your investigation. You will find them back at your studio after your shift. Okay, so 6 clues available in your room. Come back home by the looks of it. take a second to enjoy the silence of your studio apartment. Outside the city is slowly waking up. You can still hear the hum of the taxi buzzing in your ears. You throw the files Busset gave you on the table so we can really investigate and examine every one of these. On the wall you hung up the big corkboard where you used to pin up photos of your nephews. They'd been gone since you got out of. Your plan is simple: jot down all the pieces of evidence and connect them to the suspects. The guilty party will not necessarily be the one with the most evidence against them, but the one with the most compelling evidence against them. It's like you're building a story about each suspect, trying to understand their motives, understand how he or she got into this situation. A bus goes by, making the walls shake. You glance at your bed and get to work. So what have we got here? Autopsy report, victim 3. Hold to investigate. Autopsy report, victim 4. Hold to investigate. Killer case, hold to investigate. Okay, so we've got some clues. Picture of crime scene 1. Picture of crime scene 2. Picture of crime scene 3. New clue. Check the board. Okay. So the first person there is Gralio. Or I should say Griou. Height 1m77. Honest man with an unknown background. Briefly worked for Charles Bougrain. Victim 2 in the 90s. Got health issues after Richterdin health scandal. Couple of arrests for breaking and entering. Message on crime scene number 2. You deserve this. Right? So this one was Claudia Campos. Height 179. Medical examiner in Paris. Escaped from Argentina when she was young. Lost her parents to the Argentinian junta in the process. So victims killed with 1 bullet in the neck. Message on crime scene, time's up. Salim Modien, 175, well-known lawyer from St. Queen, defender on the Dual case, defender of several molested kids in poor neighborhoods, with a promising football player when he was 10. Message on crime scene, justice. Piero Batat, so that would be 170, cop in Paris. Dad was a cop, financial affairs, died 2 years ago. Mum got health issues after Richterdin health scandal. He is gay, in relationship, and disclosed this information at work. No sign of violence. Paul-Marie Fragonard, 169, retired cop, joined the police in 77, divorced from a judge, born in French Antilles, moved to mainland France in 1976. So we have quite a variety of different clues and bits of information. Message on crime scene 1. Crime scene 1. Well, we don't know really what is what really. Okay, so we've read all of this. I don't think so. That probably will complete it. With a heavy hand you wipe your tired face. Slowly open the sofa bed and lie down. The events of the day run through your head. The streets, the passengers, the faces, the problems. Your brain is running at full speed, your body aches and you are in pain. You can tell you need to get more sleep. You glance at your investigation board. It looks awfully empty. And are you sure this is the best? It's actually too soon to say anything. You shake your head and your mind wanders for a second. Your eyes close. Right when you're about to fall asleep, you notice a taste on your tongue. Very salty, a bit like soya sauce, and a bit bitter, very strong. It disappears as quickly as it came. You fall asleep. You open one eye. For a second there, you hope the evidence board was just a dream too, but you can make it out in the shadows. You get up quickly, and a few minutes later, you're outside of your studio. So that's night to break, and then carry on with our adventure. As you can see, wonderfully immersed in the world of Paris. It's deadly. It's sinister. We are coming across also everywhere, collecting clues for that investigation. In fact, it is a kind of multi-faceted type of investigation that the police, we are looking at different teams, people, different victims, locations, different parts of the city, and there will be a lot of edge and place. So notice as you enter the world, Nightcall is it's a very gripping type of quality. As you've seen, it's delivered in a simple graphic novel format, but the dialogue is excellent and the content is mesmerizing. So you really want to find out time a bit more every single character. You will more knowledge locations where you are. Basically put all the pieces of the puzzle. So that's exactly what we'll do. So we'll take a break, 5-minute break, and then we carry on adventure. And that continues, my friends. Thank you for being patient. Thank you for being with us. And we have been exploring different areas of Paris with a variety of different passengers, a number of clues which are going to be helping us carry on with more driving and more comments that will help us to with the story. What else can we go? We have there already, I think. What does it say? We got that. Luxury car drives passes and disappears into the night. Oh, it's gone now. You park a few streets away from the Argentinian embassy. You wait there for your contact. You sigh. It seems so odd to have a contact, so excessive. The guy is one of your regular boyka buddies, a night watchman at the embassy. You get out of your taxi and walk towards the big metal gate. Clean lines, clearly 20th century, maybe lots of wood, iron. The gate opens and somebody moves towards you. They indicate you should really follow them. The person's face is hidden by an oversized hoodie. Your heart starts beating faster. What if it was... Say, who are you? It's me. Haim. You're David's buddy. Haim, I think it's pronounced Haim. You immediately recognize his accent. You don't feel like you're in any danger and decide to follow him. You walk into a narrow, covered passageway, probably the entrance to a parking garage. The man turns around and lights up a cigarette. The lighter lights up his face for a second, a young man with curly hair, pale skin. He looks young, actually very young. Haim. That will be 250 euros. What? You want information on Gorodisha? I got info on Gorodisha and it will cost you 250 euros, so what will it be? See, bargain a bit. He raises his hands in front of his chest, his accent becomes stronger. Haim, no, it's 250 euros or nothing. If somebody learns I fished around, they'll find me on the spot. For that price, you hope the intel is good, so you pay. Listen up, because I'm not gonna say it twice. Gorodisha is definitely a colonel from the junta. One of the few who wasn't arrested and put on trial. He's responsible for torturing dozens of political opponents. He tortured and killed them. You know, we do not like him much here, but the rich Argentinians in Paris love him. They really respect him. Respected him. The difference doesn't seem to be important to him. Haim, yeah, if it makes you happy. He looks back at you. There's one last thing. I read in the newspaper that the killer wrote a message in chalk, "Time's up." It was a slogan at the end of the junta. A sort of watchword from the opponents. It was time for them to go. You get it? You nod. A second later, you're back in your taxi with a hole in your wallet, but with the information on one of the victims. If you follow this lead, maybe your investigation will move forward. You start the car and get back to your shift. So we've seen that. So what's this? Petrol station. Been there. Anywhere. Let's have a look at that station. You pull over and stop at a petrol station. Not a soul in sight. The fluorescent lights irritate your eyes, and the smell of pee is wafting up from the space in between the pumps. It's self-service here, you pay directly at the pump. Minimart over there, it must be selling newspapers. The person behind the counter must see and hear things. It might be worth asking a couple of questions. The place is as shady as ever. You're careful getting out of the cab. So we have gas pump. Thanks for go to shop. You walk into the Minimart. There's a smell coming off the guy running the shop at the station. Booze. Welcome. He sighs beyond tired of repeating the same sentence over and over. To La Belle Pompe. Right, so first I need to buy the newspaper. Talk with the clerk. Sigh. Purdue. No go. So I picked up one of these. Okay. Scratch cards, lottery, you name it. You, on the other hand, curse automatically as you put one foot into the freezing cold. Very cold out there, right? Leave the gas station. You get in your taxi and drive away. We like the way the gameplay works here. It's very smooth, and although very simple in its graphics, you really forget about the simplicity of it all due to its wonderful content. Caroline Jarreau to talk to you. 48 seems good. The scent of orange blossom fills the air as your passenger enters the cab. You smile. She returns your smile. Good evening. There is a raw emotional warmth to her voice. You sense your passenger wants to talk about the killer. It's simple. Since the first murder, everyone thinks they know something. Everyone thinks they saw something. And this passenger is no exception. It is pretty cold out tonight, is it not? You nod. There are passengers that this elderly woman immediately take a liking to. Can almost feel the cold air setting in around the corners of my mouth. It's a funny feeling, but one that a nice cup of hot tea can quickly dispel. A smile plays across the lips. Or a cup of hot chocolate, of course. On nights like this, I cannot go out on my own evermore, and yet I have to. She glances over at you. Why do you have to go out? Well, let's just say I needed to talk to you. I hope you will not get me wrong, but just drive around the block, if you will. I know who you are, and I know what you're doing. She's quiet for a minute, either searching for the right words or simply trying to reassure you. I admire what you're doing. The city really needs your help, and so does the world. Don't take it the wrong way, but I know you are looking for the killer. I know what he did to you. I know why you're after him. She gives you a warm smile. I'd like to make you an offer. You can either take it or leave it. But unlike everything, I tell you to remain a secret no matter what happens afterwards. What do you say? I'm listening. You see, when my husband died, he left me a building. I converted it, made repairs and renovations. But above all, I gave it a goal, a role, a reason to exist. This hotel, I suppose I could call it a shelter, but that would scare away the people who need it. Some say it's a retreat, but same thing, the word has unpleasant connotations. I keep calling it a hotel because my guests need to realize that they're passing through. Their real life is out there waiting for them. Her eyes meet yours. There is more to the kind grandmother in the backseat of a cab than meets the eye. A hint of greatness. Are you following me? Yes, I believe so. Good. Well, anyhow, the hotel is reserved for men, women and couples, for anyone who actually needs it. I use the word reserved, but there aren't any eligibility conditions, none other than my own, that is. We live in a wonderful country, but sometimes it fails to recall its fundamental values: liberty, fraternity. In my hotel are taken people who've been chased from their homes for every imaginable reason. Right now I have a couple of women who are the victims of domestic abuse. A young woman thrown out of the home because she did not want to have an abortion. Two couples who were thrown out by homophobic parents. She knits her brow in consternation. Does that give you a better idea? Yes, of course. Great. These people are in trouble. I welcome them. I listen to them. I give them a moment of peace. Some spend a single night, others stay for a month. Most of my guests do not stay particularly long. They leave as soon as they're back on their feet. As soon as they find some housing, somewhere to go. As soon as they work out whatever caused them to leave home in the first place. You smile. There is always room, actually. I've never even been full. That's what I've come to see you about. You and I, we're on the same wavelength. We are working for the common good. Her forehead creases again, like a crumpled sheet. I may be wrong, of course. Am I? No. Good. Here are my rules, or requests, if you would rather. Rule number 1. You can mention my place to anyone you think may be in need of help. Once you drop them off, I ask them in, I talk to them, and I can take care of them. You're free to go. You don't need to worry about me, I have my own security staff. Your passenger gives her arm a pat, as if she had a holster under her shirt. Your gaze looks with hers. She flashes you a meaningful smile, as if you were in the know. Rule number 2. If someone specifically asks you to bring them to my place, then don't do it. Some of my guests are being pursued, hunted, and it would be a shame to let the wolf into the sheepfold. A bright smile from the back seat. You can feel the warmth, the scent of your passenger's perfume, orange blossom, simple and suggestive, hangs in the air. A pause. She's watching you intently. You pull over to the spot where you picked her up. Now, I'm going to ask you once and for all, do you want to help me? A simple yes or no will do. If it is a no, well then, I have to find someone else. Yes. A smile lights up your passenger face. Well, I accepted Karina's offer, and I managed to get an achievement, which is worth 15 gamer points. Weekly guest, ready to turn quester. Can't even read anymore. A smile lights up your passenger's face. Here is my card. She hands you the money for her fare, along with a business card. You and I, we are going to do great things together. I can feel it. She exits the cab, a little squeal escaping her as the cold strikes her full force. Good night. Try to stay warm. She vanishes down a nearby side street. You sit there for a moment, business card in hand. As you start the cab, a slow smile spreads over your face. So we get profit 33.27 up to 141.95. So that's very good. Where are we? Another petrol station in there. Let's see. I think these people we talk today. We go there. Dear Clafs, the words them, they're calling me. 1683 fare. Let's see. The next passenger immediately raises a hand. Drive. I don't care where, I just need you to drive. Start driving. You turn the key in the ignition. Yes, there, good. Keep going this way. A deep, full voice makes you slightly uncomfortable. With closed eyes, she seems like she's in a place far from the backseat of your taxi. When she starts speaking, there's an odd whistle in her voice, like she has a hole in one of her teeth. Slow down. Frail or fragile? A bit surprised, I look back at her in the mirror. Answer me, frail or fragile? I'm not sure. Don't think about it, just say the first one that comes to mind. Frail or fragile? We'll say fragile. Oh, odd. I wouldn't have thought that of you. After all, frailty applies more to humans than to objects. The whistle in her voice crackles for a second. Both words actually have the same root. A smile spreads across her face. 2 words, 2 units. And life went on, and words mixed once again. She pauses. So? She doesn't hear your question because she starts to scream. Go down the street and stop. You speed up in the quiet street. The cold weather has driven away all the passerby. There, yes, good. I've got it. She cries out with joy and it resonates in the cab. I've got it. Look, the words are right there. They're wandering past us like sheep, like she explodes with laughter. So, what words? She immediately stops laughing. She silences you with a wave of her hand. Now I must write. She closes her eyes, her fingers stroke imaginary upholstery. The frail are forced into battle. Together come the children, the son and the daughter, standing tall to salute. They will cry. Oh yes, they will cry. The eaglets are left behind. The frail we say. Your passenger freezes. When she opens her eyes again, she stares at you. What happens when you sleep? She's waiting for your answer. She tilts her head to the side just a bit. No, that's a lie and you know it. And what happens when you drive? I work, but exactly you give your time to others. She laughs strangely, almost a snicker, as her eyelids droop. And the son will say, frail father, I want you to come back to life. And the daughter will say, frail father, I want you to come back a winner. father responds, "You must choose." As the eaglet lands upon his shoulder, together they fly off. And thus all began. Fragile, frail two paths that cannot be fooled. Son and daughter will grow up, though not at all at the same pace. When early one morning, 20 years later, they wake up to the sound of a bugle. The son will be beaten, churned and clubbed until he wakes from a 1,000-year-old dream. A dream without sails, in which the daughter and son fish Alcedinadi. May they learn to live again without their father. Frail and fragile. Frail is fragile. She catches her breath. Years. I've been writing this poem for 11 years. 11 years? Oh yes, 11 years. For 11 years I've been trying to finish the text. It's filled with so much, it's infused with my entire life. Its lungs are swollen with my tears. Her breathing is now quite irregular. And it was all waiting right here in this street, right in front of me. She giggles. "Thank you." She sighs and places a few bills in front of you, far more than the fare. "Stop here and..." You pull the cab over. "Keep everything, I have nothing more." She gets out of the taxi without a peep. Wait. She walks away without responding to your call. Seems to you that it's only an impression. Looks like she's getting smaller and smaller with each step. Darkness swallows her and you sit there, a bit shaken by her poem. You pick up the money, something falls at your feet. You grab onto a small, shiny, white seashell with your fingers. Look at it for a second without saying a word. 11 years. The idea makes its way into your brain. You take a minute and drive off. 2776. Wondering what this is. Listen to radio. Your finger is poised in front of the car radio. You're trying to find something to listen to. Should be about time for Top News Tonight, one of those call-in shows. So listen to the news. You happen upon the nighttime news. A crime novelist being interviewed about his latest book brings up the judge. He's quick to say that according to his sources, the first victim owed money to the mafia. Actually, he thinks the whole case is linked to organized crime. The judge's first is just the front of the real criminals. As soon as the news is over, you turn the radio off so that the cab is silent again. No more of that radars to listen to, or maybe listen to the radio. Listen to the news, nighttime news. One of the stories is about the new law being passed to prevent teenagers from using trains to run away. You smile thinking your teen passengers must be less than enthused to be the cause of all of that. As soon as the news is over, you turn the radio off so that the cab is silent again. Right, so enough of the news. And let me see. Read the newspaper. You pull a newspaper out of your glove compartment and start leafing through it. Eventually something grabs your eye. It's a tiny article in the corner of one page. Ongoing protests in the small South American country of French Guyana been paralyzing the territory for 2 months. You raise your head. Until now you'd heard nothing about this protest. You turn the page and stop. You've read about a third of the newspaper. Keep reading. Stop reading and go back a few pages. You thought you saw something. Short, rather terse, Article, journalist explains that the 200th American-style coffee house just opened in Paris. She regrets the disappearance of real, authentic bistros. You sigh. You only have a third left to read. As soon as you get to the page you stop, your instinct tells you to look at. It's a sensationalist article about the third victim, Simon Gorodisha. He is thought to have escaped Argentina in the 1980s because he was a member of the process, the military dictatorship that had been in power. Pretty important information, in your opinion. You shut the paper. It will end up in the trash tonight. If you remember, it's there, otherwise it will spend the rest of the days in your glove compartment. So let me think, what else do we... Who's this? We'll go to her. Oh, we already did that, so we can't really talk to her. Let's see who this chap is. Great. Hey pal, can you have it? Doors open. It's a homeless man like hundreds of others in Paris. You've known each other for years, and every now and then he asks a favor of you to drive him someplace. As usual, he greets you quietly, though he always seems a little on the edge. Hey buddy, what's up pup? He has a strange verbal tick that you've never really understood. You start the cab, you look in the rearview mirror, and you realize that the homeless man is clutching his left side. Alright, Freddy. Is everything alright? He gives you a vague answer. Yeah, sure. Everything is fine. A pause. He can't help making a face. Insist. You're really not looking great. Don't worry, don't worry. I got in a little fight last night with this guy. But that's all taken care of now. All taken care of. He smiles, revealing a row of bad teeth. What kind of fight? With a wave of his hand, he changes the subject. Who gives about what kind of fight this was? All you need to know is he took something that belonged to me and he paid the price. He closes his eyes a moment. Yeah, so he wasn't all that bad, was he? But if you let somebody steal your stuff, you are done for sure. You have to show them you're tough, that you are a big shot. He pulls a sour smile. Sometime later, your passenger clears his throat. You wouldn't happen to have a little something to drink, would you? You know, like they do these newfangled cabs these days. Chauffeur-driven cars. Yeah, that's right. Right. I don't have anything. He nods. I don't mean water, you know. You smile. I realize that. Ah. He sighs again. Usually, you're not such a pain. Say, relax, will you? He gives you a black look. Questions, you know, I've got this morning, noon and night. I'm sick and tired of them. He loses himself in thought. As you drive along, you see him struggling to keep his eyes open. They're more often shut than open now. Turn up the heat. Your passenger's head jerks back up. You're a really good guy, you know. Your passenger gives you a sleepy smile. Hey! Serious, you don't mind if I get a little shut-eye on the way, do you? You nod. You enjoy. He gives you a smile, but it's still a painful grimace. Next thing you know, he's sound asleep. You continue to drive in silence, soothed by the warm air of the car heater. You pull up in front of a nondescript grey building. Your passenger immediately wakes up and looks around. This is great, I'm first. Where are we? An organisation that hands out clothes for winter. I heard they were going to open a new... Pause, you're searching for the right word. A new shop, you could say. And I'm the first one, eh? When does it open? 2 days from now. Your eyes widen. Your passenger gives a little laugh. Don't worry, I have plenty to keep me busy. He pats his pants pocket. I found some books, one on yoga and then a book that old handsome dude, you know the guy who talks on the radio. It'll help pass the time. He gives you a tap on the shoulder. He reaches for the door and stops short, overcome with a spasm of pain. Are you okay? Yeah, do not worry. Don't worry. Taking you to the hospital. No, I'm good. He opens the door and climbs gingerly out. Yeah, and thank you for turning up the heat. That was nice. Next thing you know, he's disappeared down a dark side street. You sigh and start the cab. Take the profits. Let me just see very briefly. You now know more about your clients. Check the Acidex menu for more detail. You accepted Karen's offer. Night 2 start balance profits company cut. You have met Alicia. Alicia finished the poem Fragile. Let's see what else do we have. You have met Irv. You found out how Irv got his scar. Yeah, that's the fight we talked about. Back home, I guess. Yeah, that's right. At the foot of your front door, just behind the drain pipe, you notice an envelope. It's thick and heavy. You can just make out your name written in thick black marker on the front. Your real name. You take a deep breath and go inside. In the envelope you find more information, just as Musette promised. You lay them on the table. You take a few minutes to update your board with your new clues. Steps in the hallway. They stop in front of your door, then move away. You take your shoes off before getting to work. Picture of crime scene number 4. Please report victim 1. Not enough time. With a heavy hand, you wipe your tired face. You slowly open the sofa bed and lie down. The events of today run through your head. The streets, the passengers, the faces, their problems. one eye. It's pitch black outside, time for work. You get up quickly. A few minutes later you're outside of your studio. Night number 3. Alright my friends, we basically come to the end of our today. So thank you very much for watching DRBMiller introducing. Scene Nightcall. We are currently observing, investigating, I should say, gives us opportunity to investigate various crimes in downtown. We've gone through a few passengers, locations, and characters. So what we've done is we radio, we looked at the news, collected various tips in order to enhance them. So really, we are going to bring it to for today, and we'll carry our investigation even further tomorrow. Hope you enjoyed this wonderful quirky indie game produced in France by indie developers who they adore, and as even during today's 102 minute casting, it is very gripping. You're learning about Paris, about the present day and age, activities are there. You really simply cannot easily leave and depart, and you know we have to obviously the boundaries, and there will be further exploration and investigations tomorrow. So thank you for watching our Nightcall stream, much for supporting the channel and all we do here as we are delivering it to in a somewhat different format. Hope you enjoy the content. Hope you are joining us for our Warzone later on. And tomorrow we'll with the same, starting out with our news bulletin and introduction based on any come on the wire from the industry and our community at DRBMiller. We obviously this game at, and after that crack on with more activities in Destiny and Warzone. So that is all day, and thank you for watching. Hope you enjoy the content. You will be coming back tomorrow to see more. I certainly would like to hear from all of our participants, community members, their thoughts in this game, and really that you are enjoying it and whether you're finding it as exciting as myself. So take a moment of your time and message either here or on Twitch, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook or Twitter. You can choose whatever your preference, and you know, do give us that feedback. Any feedback, games that we are introducing here will be given to the developer, and they will be truly delighted to receive such news from any of us Twitch streamers. So thank you, and on that note, a very, very good night.